Morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. We're going to jump right into things today. I already did one machine down there on the end. It was a callback from prior weeks where their first lane, number one, was ejecting pins from the gutters from the flat gutters into the round gutters, causing deadwood. The rake cam had come loose again. How, I don't know, but it did. I retimed it, retightened it up. This particular machine, the information that we've got is that sometimes it is failing to trigger. And before having even turned it on, I did a quick visual. This pin is starting to become disconnected. Let's see if I can find some flashlight space here. Is that better? I think so. So this pin runs through your starter bell crank and the link to trip the clutch. I'm wondering if that is our problem. There may be more, but let's, that's incredibly difficult. I can't trip the clutch. There we go. She finally let loose, huh? So, I think it's pretty safe to say that this is our problem. Let's take a peek. Let me take the spring off and remove our pin and see. It is not broken. It is just missing an X washer. So let's go grab an X washer. We'll put this all back together and we will see what else we can see. I've gotten the linkage all put back together. It did kind of fall apart on me, and it took a little bit to get everything back where it needed to be. But let's go ahead and bring in an X washer here. Now we are good to go. We're going to leave the pin sticking out on this side because we need a tension spring for the bell crank. So let's go ahead and reset our linkage and retest. How much force does it take to move this bell crank backwards now? Not as much, but still more than I would like to see. Okay, let's dig a little deeper. Let's cover some bases real quick, shall we? This is not the correct spring. I do not know what spring this is, but obviously it had enough tension to where it wasn't working, and then somebody stretched it out a little bit. Our solenoid plunger, you guys don't have a great view. We've got some flashlight glare going on. Let me reposition some lights. That's a little bit better. But if we take a look in here, our plunger, it's super flippy floppy. And I forgot to disable autofocus also. I'm pretty sure if we look in there, you can see how that plunger has a shoulder milled into it. I'm willing to bet that the plunger and the style or type of solenoid in here are mismatched. Let's take a closer look at this. This is a Guardian, not a Guardian. This is a Deltral brand or Deltral type solenoid. The plunger used on that type of solenoid typically is going to be a straight barrel. The Guardian plunger has a milled surface. You can see it's got a lot of flip-flop room. Can weeble wobble and wiggle around, and that's not good. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our Deltral type plunger and see if it fits in there. It should. Let's see if we can take this Deltral style plunger. Will it fit? Ooh, it will not fit. It is too big. Okay, so we have our worn solenoid. the housing where the plunger goes into is worn out. That may be of little consequence for what we are doing here. Just something that I happened to notice. It's okay as long as the solenoid is still working properly and pulling in adequately. It shouldn't be an issue. We really won't know until we power the thing on and apply some electrons to the solenoid and see how it operates. I haven't metered this solenoid yet either. It could be within spec. It might be out of spec. We don't know yet. I have the machine plugged back on. I'm going to toggle it on from the rear switch. We're going to cycle it. We're going to see what happens. I'm clear. You're clear. Everybody's clear. Going hot. Weird little bounce on that clutch lever. But it seems to cycle adequately. Yeah, that clutch lever. Wow. Look at the gap on that thing. Holy cow. That is going to be a project for a different time. Right now, we want to focus on our cycle solenoid. So with these machines, it is super easy to get lost down the rabbit hole. I'm going to stick to my guns and I'm going to focus on one issue at a time. Normally, I like the bigger picture kind of diagnosis, but with machines that have been, I hate to say it, but neglected, abused for close to 20 years, there's a whole lot wrong, right? There's more wrong than there is right a lot of times. So my goal here, my mission here, one day a week for a few hours, typically, is to address the immediate issues so that all of their machines can keep going up and down. With all of that being said, we probably do want to take a look at our gearbox clutch adjustment here. They have the newer style rod with the offset link end on the 4-to-1 crank arm, but this is still stopping way too high. Yes. We need to make some adjustments. I'm not going to get all of this on camera. What I will tell you is that on the yoke, on the bottom, is an adjuster screw. I'm going to thread that screw in. I'm going to close this gap. This gap is crazy big. What in turn that's going to do, that's going to open up the gap between this drive disc, the pulley disc, and the cone disc. That's going to cause the machine to stop earlier. That crank arm won't stop as high up on the 4-to-1. If you are interested, I have done this adjustment previously. If you want to go through and look through the video library, I've already covered this, so I'm not going to do it again on camera. We are in a pretty good spot here. If we look, that gap has been closed up. We're stopping maybe just a hair earlier than desired. But this is good. This is okay. What we want to check for, though, is when the turret fills up with pins, will it drop them into the moving deck? If it does not, then we need to double check our gearbox clutch timing. That's good. It dropped. The next thing to check is if we cycle the machine, does the moving deck shift forward? If the moving deck does shift forward, that means that we may be another sign we're stopping early, or that we have some other issues. It did not jump forward at the beginning of the cycle. So this is looking really, really good. I mean, compared to where we started. Are there still a million billion things wrong? Yes. But will it run? Will it cycle without hesitation? Yes. What I ended up finding, because I didn't film this, that the adjuster screw on the bottom didn't have a spacer or a jam nut. And the bolt had slowly over time worked its way out. So that's been taken care of. Timing looks good. There's no hesitation for the cycle solenoid to pull in. So I'm going to wrap this one up here, and we'll move on to the next thing. The next one on our list is the note on the board said that it was setting the number 5 pin off spot. And my first thought was a spotting finger or deck roller issue. And after turning the machine on and cycling it, they have a bad pair of scissors for the number 5 pin. When it's closing around the neck of the pin, but it's not gripping, and as the deck lifts up and it sweeps, the pin kind of wobbles around real bad. I'm not going to get this one on video either, because I have done a scissor replacement already. It's just going to eat up time in this video for other more important things. Well, I kind of lied. We're going to look at it a little bit closer. We have a rubber gripper pad missing, so I'm still not going to do it on camera, but I'm just going to install a missing rubber gripper. Next thing on the list is a Pinsetter that they are saying has a lot of deck jams. So let's turn it on and cycle it, and we'll see what we can find. I'm hoping it will be easy. I'm hoping that it won't be super labor intensive, but we will not know until we find the problem. So let us watch it and see if we can make any observation. I am observing that it is kind of dark in here, and that we do not have 21 pins. Cool. So let's go ahead and set an empty rack. Now we'll have enough pins. Maybe. Let me steal one out of the number 7 deck chute here. We're emulating 20 pins now. The deck isn't jumping forward at the beginning of first ball. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the blocking fingers and see if maybe there's a reason why we might be letting pins go from the turret into the moving deck at the wrong time. Trip the clutch. Deck went down, the turret held pins. Released at 180, so this looks good. At least our blocking finger for deck height. I remember this machine from a while ago. I'm not sure what might be causing this blocking finger, the one closer to the bottom of the screen. That would be right hand blocking finger. I'm not sure what's causing this thing to get bent, but there is a little bit of interference between these two blocking fingers. They are ever so slightly touching each other, and I'm wondering if, I don't know, I don't want to speculate, but I know that this has been an issue on this particular machine in the past. I did bend that spotting finger back straight again. Let me see if I can zoom in. You got a decent gap between those two now, where before we had maybe a couple, maybe 1 or 2 millimeters. Very, very tiny gap. They were almost interfering with each other. So this is good. I have been sitting up here and cycling this machine for nearly 15 minutes without any observable issues. I just wanted to come in and check in, let you guys know what I have done so far, and if we do have an issue, we will pick the video up. If not, we will travel forward in time to the next machine. I failed to get it on video, but this pin caused a bind in the turret. Let's jump around front and I'll get you a better shot. What we had happen is the base of the pin has enough room to come off of the spoon. And as we were coming through this area, it bound up. So we more than likely, we're going to adjust the spoon because our turret wire gaps look good. Either adjust the spoon or we're going to loosen that bolt and the one down there in the darkness. We're going to take the whole thing and just swing it over so we can move the spoon to match the pin, or we can move the turret wires to match the spoon. Our pin, however, see if I can zoom out a little bit. This pin will drop into that. But if we look, this is lined up pretty good above our deck chute. If we move the turret wires over a little bit, we're going to be bumping the base of the pin, might contact the top edge of the deck chute. Yeah, super dark. I'm sorry. I don't have the flashlights where I want them to be. Is this a steel deck chute? Pardon me. Steel deck shield. Yes. That might be better. So like I was saying, if we move this over, this pin might hit right here and cause problems. So let's go ahead. We'll grab 2 7/16 wrenches. We'll loosen the spoon up and shift it over a little bit better. I believe I have discovered the underlying issue. We're missing a bolt. Well, let me rephrase that. It's probably broken. This is our indexing cam, and the bolt goes through the spider ring and threads into the indexing cam. I don't believe that the bolt just backed out. I think that it's broken in this indexing cam, or turret spider release cam. So things just got a little bit more spicy, huh? Things have taken a sudden turn. If we look under here, you can see how the studs normally protrude through the spider release cam. And in our particular case, that stud is a little short. Normally, what you might be able to do is get some vice grips and spin the broken stud out to extract it. In our case, we're probably going to need to remove our cam. Yeah, awesome. All right, well, let's get to it. Apologies for the awkward angle. I'm not sure with the equipment I have as far as camera mounting that I'm going to be able to get you in a better position. But really, all I'm doing is removing all of the bolts that go into our spider release cam. And we're going to drop the cam out. And we're either going to replace the cam or extract the broken stud. These things are easier said than done. Oh, hey, I'm glad we're in here. We have a second broken stud. So, double spicy. Yay. Well, now it's a twofer. It be like that sometimes, especially around here. Like I said, if this were easy, everybody would be doing it. So let's go ahead. How many more screws do we have? 2 or 3, maybe 4. I didn't count before I started. I just started. We need to back our turret basket up. This is the last bolt. So let's go ahead and get all of our bolts out. Please and thank you. Could we also remove the turret basket to make this a little bit easier? Sure. But that would add extra time and I'll be honest, I would rather spend less time than extra time. Technically might be a little more intricate, but I think we can get the same results much more quickly. I do not have super skinny fingers anymore, but I still have a fair amount of dexterity, which in our case is a huge asset. One final screw around the corner here that unfortunately you can't see. Should be getting close. Okay. Again, easier said than done. The broken studs, there's one here and one here. And they're actually extending up into the ring. So I don't have enough room where the turret's currently positioned to remove our spider cam. I'm going to have to move the turret. Probably, let's do counterclockwise, if we can. We need a little bit more. Precariously placed. Yeah, more. I'm stuck. What am I stuck on? The cam. Oh, that's loose too. Oh boy. We are struggling today. I would like to move this rearward, but I cannot seem to find what I'm hanging up on. Well, what? I apparently just found it. Excuse me. Can we go backwards a little bit more? Yes. Is it going to be enough? Yeah, probably not. Well, let's keep moseying on until we can find maybe an acceptable point in which our cycle cam can be extracted. We're getting there. We're not there yet, but we are getting there. Or are we not getting there? The hard part with this is that we've got multiple broken studs. Abort, we need to come up with a new plan. This is okay, just a minor setback, honestly. This isn't anything that removing the turret basket is going to help with, unfortunately. What I'd like to try is, first of all, not to crush my fingers. What I'd like to try is to remove this one existing stud that's sticking up above our turret ring. So I'm going to go get some vice grips and remove, or at least attempt to remove, that one broken stud. I will be right back. Let's see if this is going to work. It should. It has worked for me in the past. I can manipulate the vice grips. Alright, so the stud is turning. Hey man, I'm so happy to be here. Can't you tell? Yeah. It's coming. There we go. Cool. Is that going to be enough to get it out by hand? Yes, it is. I wonder if we might be able to do the same for the other broken stud. We can try. Let me go ahead, rotate our turret over just a little more. Second broken stud is right here. See if I can put the vice grips between the turret ring. And the spider cam. Spin it. There we go. We just got it. Nice. And the stud fell out right there. Good. Now we need to go get some bolts. Some new bolts. They've got a couple other spoons that I felt were loose. But we can go through and check those after we get our missing hardware replaced here. I was unable to locate any split lock washers, but what I do have is some 1/4-inch star lock washers. I realize that they are not the same, but the thought is that any lock washer is probably better than no lock washer. So that is the premise that we are operating on right now. What an awkward spot. Let's see if I can get the first bolt here started. And then we'll jump around to the other side and get the first bolt of the other side started. Yeah. Hi. It's hot back here. We have been averaging close to 100 degrees in freedom units over the last few days. And I am not sure if you're aware, but most bowling centers do not have air conditioning in the machine area. This happens to be one of those. Wish I could get my little speed wrench in there. That's okay. We just need it started. We don't need it tight yet. Let's go ahead. We'll bring in some new hardware. To replace our broken hardware. I'm just going to start on my hand. Back the truck up just a little bit here. Okay. Grab the next spoon. And our bolts. Yes. Endless repair videos. Yes. Well, with machines like these, there is a wealth of information to be shared. Where has my speed wrench gone? Right here. Threads were a little stiff on that one, so we're going to speed it up just a little bit. We're not tightening them down yet. We're just getting everything in. Again, what have I hung up on? There we go. Again, more stiff threads, but not too worried. Not terrible. Just a little bit more than my phalanges can do. Here we go. So we do have all of our spoons bolted back on. Am I missing something here? Yes. One more bolt on that spoon. I thought I had miscounted our broken stud hardware. I did not. I just kind of forgot where I was at. It happens. Call it an ADHD moment. There we go. So now that all of our hardware is back in place, we can go ahead and begin tightening our hardware, tightening our spider cam back up. We're going to make sure you guys are kind of at not a great angle to see it, but as I'm going along, I'm making sure that the spoons are centered to the turret wires. And that way, we will not have any issues like the one that led us down this rabbit hole to begin with, right? This did take a major detour. I'm glad that we didn't spend an exorbitant amount of time documenting a missing scissor pad, because this, I don't know how long this video is going to be in total, because I've got one more machine that we have yet to even take a look at. I had planned on this maybe taking 15 to 20 minutes, 30 minutes total. That's not what you guys see. You guys see the more interesting bits. You may not see every time the machine cycles and kind of what I'm looking at. And I think that's okay, because we get to drill down on the important thing. This one looks lined up fairly well. We are not going to tighten these bolts down crazy. we need to remember that these are, in most of these cases, some very old bolts. And if we do tighten them down until we make the grunt or the yaw noise, we could potentially have to take everything back out because we've broken another bolt. That would be very, very bad. Swing our basket around. We have one more bolt in a very, very odd angle that we need to get tightened down. This is the last one, and then after that we can retest. I can only get little teeny tiny turns on this. This is some very, very close quarters. So what I might do, just in the interest of saving a couple minutes of video, is that I will pause here. And then, after we're done, we'll pick it back up. We have finished tightening all of our turret spoon bolts, and we're going to go ahead and turn the thing on. Let's see if we can find anything else going on here. I think that we've got it. I don't think there's a whole lot else going on, but we're going to retest anyway. Go ahead and stop our pin feed right there. This was the turret wire spoon in question, and we no longer have an issue there, and I don't see any issues anywhere else. So I'm going to call this one good and jump on to the next thing. I just accidentally did something stupid, but it looked pretty cool, and I think it's a good testament to the strength of these magnets on the flashlight. I think some of you guys can already see where we're going here, but that's pretty damn good. Pinsetter disco party! Whee! All right, that's enough messing around. Back to work. This is going to be our last one of the day, as far as I know for right now. And you may recognize this from a couple weeks ago. We had installed a bolt here because the machine was randomly recycling. Let me get a little bit more light here. And our stop arm was encountering a bind. Well, what we ended up doing, let me go in. This bushing right here, the stud in the sidewall of the gearbox was a little bit damaged, and with the bolt tightened down to torque spec, we were creating a bind. And so I had just backed off that bolt just a tiny bit. It wasn't loose, but it wasn't torqued down tight. And over the past few days, they've been saying that the thing has been randomly recycling. And we watched it. failed. So what we ended up doing is I took the solenoid mounting plate off and shifted our linkage over. And then with a flat file, I just thinned the shoulder of that bushing down a tiny bit until the stud barely protrudes. And I put a spacer up and I moved our linkage, and there is no bind, there's no interference. So this should be good. We're going to go ahead and put it back together. After we got everything put back together, we have a new issue. We have the clutch latch latching at 180 and stopping the machine at 270. We didn't have that before. And I'm wondering, because we have done some work on our cycle linkage, if we've somehow thrown off our dash pod stock power adjustment. It's not happening every cycle, but it is happening with relative freedom. Right there. It latched at 180 and it stopped at 270. The gift that keeps on giving sometimes. I have removed the spring that goes from here to here. I believe that it is getting weak. So I'm going to try and replace that spring and see if that helps our issue. The adjustment looks good, so I'm going to guess we've got some other wear and tear parts going on here. We have installed the proper spring, so let's power this back up and see what we get. I have sneaking suspicion. Okay. So now this spring is a little bit weak. Or perhaps having stopped at mid-cycle may have energized our cycle solenoid at the wrong time. So let's just watch it cycle. Let's see what we can observe. Yet, this spring is a little bit weak. So we have the right spring down there now. And now this bastard isn't working right. Awesome. Back to the workshop. I was not able to find a brand new spring. This one is very close, and it does seem to be working properly. So I'm going to go ahead and cycle this a few more times just to observe proper operation. I know that this is kind of quacky and hacky. They do not have a new spring. Otherwise, we would have used it, right? I think this is going to work. I think it will work just fine. Yeah, this is looking good. What I'm going to do, just like some of the others, I'll cycle it a bunch off camera, and if there is anything else of note, we'll pick it back up. If not, this is going to be the end of our video. One more machine before we go. I guess you can call it a return call. This was the first one we worked on, gearbox, clutch, and what was it? I don't even remember what all it was. But we gave it back to them, and they quickly put it back out of service because it was stopping at 270 degrees. And I replaced that X pin and washer down there. That was broken. Plus the pivot point for our clutch latch. That X pin was broken as well. So I've got a new one here, new X pin, X washer. We're going to go ahead and install that and then retest, make sure that our clutch is starting and stopping the machine at the proper spots. We got that all sorted out now. I forgot to put the spring back on. So let's do that, and then we can retest it. You're clear, I'm clear, everybody's clear. Machine is still unplugged. Hold on one moment. There we go. That looks a whole lot better. Let's restart our pin feed. Golden, looks good. We have been cycling this machine for pretty close to 10 minutes now. And we haven't had one instance of the machine either recycling inadvertently or stopping mid-cycle. So I'm going to wrap things up here for sure. We have been here for many, many hours today on what should normally be a day off. Right now, I'm taking anywhere between 1 and 3 days off per month. And that's not a lot. It's starting to catch up to me. Anyway, that's enough about me. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. I will see you guys on the next one. Not sure if this is going to be a separate video or not, but we're stranded in a parking lot with a cylinder 1 misfire. It's engine trouble code P0301, which is really unfortunate because all of these coils and plugs have recently been replaced in this vehicle within the last 6 to 8 months. But it is crazy hot, and I think the heat has damaged our number 1 coil pack. So we're gonna swap it out in the parking lot. Yay! All right, got her swapped out. I can honestly say, Peppa Pig, what are you doing here? That this is not too big of a surprise because when I did the coils a couple months ago, one of them failed after a few days. Hot restart. We still have a service engine soon light. This is not good. Oh, let's see what it is. I believe I have found the issue. Let's look in here. This is going to be blazing hot, but we have it almost looks like a bridged connection here between our electrode and our ground. Crazy. I wonder how that happened. Here is a new spark plug. Ah, won't focus. Please. you can clearly see a gap. The other spark plug did not have this gap. How did it lose the gap? I don't know. Are they carbon deposits? I don't know. We just need to get this thing in and back out on the road. I am getting tired of playing Swaptronics here, but with that fouled plug, that's probably what it was. So let's restart. She feels nice and smooth. I don't feel any misfires. And our check engine light is gone. Let's go ahead. Hot potatoes. Holy cow. Thing's been baking in the sun for like a half an hour. We're gonna hit read trouble codes. Retrieving trouble codes. As Ray would say, satellites are linking up in outer space. No trouble codes present. Good. So, no trouble code, smooth idle, fouled up spark plug. That's crazy because that plug is like, I don't know, 6 months old. I did it around the time I did that valve cover. So, yeah, either way, we're good to go. Let's get back on the road. But first, I'm going to stop in there and see if they might have a beverage refrigerator because I am parched. We have procured a nice cold beverage from the fine folks at AutoZone, and we are on our way back home. Ugh. We will have to keep an eye on this. If we go into the ECM and we take a look at our heated oxygen sensors, so line number 3, heated oxygen sensor 2 monitor bank 1 is reading rich. And I am almost certain that that is because we attempted freeway driving with a number 1 cylinder misfire, and we had dumped unburnt fuel through our exhaust system because the cylinder wasn't firing. Does that make sense? It makes sense to me. I'm willing to bet that after a couple of more drive cycles, this will balance itself out, but it is something that I need to keep an eye on. And also brings up another very good point of, I think it might be time to upgrade vehicles. We have 193,600 miles on the odometer. I don't know how long 2005 Nissan Altimas are supposed to last, but I would say that I sure got my money's worth out of this one.